Hey there kids, welcome to another math lesson. This one is for Module 4, in Grade 5 Module 4, Lesson 31, homework. And the objective at the bottom of the page is very similar to the last one, to divide decimal dividends by non-unit decimal divisors. So we're trying to move that decimal out of the divisor. So here is our divisor with 7/10, but we really want to change it to be 7/1 so that there is no decimal. And how do we do that? Well, we keep the ratio the same between the dividend and the divisor by multiplying by a scale factor. And so you should understand all this. You should go watch the problem set video if you don't understand it. But if you do, then try that homework on your own and only check it against the video to see how you did and to correct your errors. So the first one has been done all the way for you. Here's your answer. Here's your answer. So we're going to go ahead and jump in on 1A. Now they also have this estimate where you think you should be so that you can make a quick comparison of how many place value positions after the decimal or before the decimal if we happen to have a decimal answer in our quotient, which I don't think we do in this lesson. So how many do we have? Well, approximately 110. So if you have 112, you're all good. But if you have 11.2, you know something went wrong because you should have a 3-digit whole answer. And here you would only have, if you misplaced the decimal, you might have something wrong. So let's get started. I told my students not to estimate right away because it was actually easier to go through some of the steps first by rewriting like this. And so if you set it up and you see that, well, I have to move, remember the denominator is in control, it's the driver, it's driving this whole problem. If I only have to move one time, then I'm going to use my scale factor here. I don't write it twice in general because they don't give us very much room. Move the decimal out of both at the same rate so that you end up with 616 divided by 8. Now that here is going to help you with your estimate. Here's your actual division, which you also have to set up. But then, of course, since they don't give you very much room, approximately what should you have? Now, here's where you've got your choice to make. Okay, now there's not a whole lot of time spent here because estimates to different people can vary. But I want to look for something that is usually going to be a close multiple to my divisor or get to an easy number to count by. I know that 61 is pretty close to 64. 61 is close to 64, but 64 is a multiple of 8. So I'm going to take my 61, change it to a 64, keep my ones place as a 0, and use this 640 as my estimated, how do I get the total close to this answer? Okay, so that's what I'm doing when I do all this work first. I don't start with the estimate. So 8 times 8 is 64, but of course because of this place value position here, my estimated answer will be about 80. So this answer here should be about 80. Now we go ahead and solve. So 8 is your divisor, will not go into 6, but it will go into 61. And we just did this. 8 times 8 is 64. So we know we're under that. And so 7 times 8. Hopefully you knew that it was 56. And then the difference between 56 and 61 gives you a nice 5 here, bring down the 6. Now you divide 56 by 8. And again, it's going to be the same thing. They're not trying to trick you with the multiplication facts here. It's more about the procedure and not making this hard. And yes, we are close to 80 with our 77. So your final answer is 77. Go ahead and circle it and move on if you didn't already do that. Okay, so the next one again, don't estimate right away. Set it up into your fraction so you can see what you would eventually have if you were to scale it. Now, who's in charge? The denominator. The denominator says use 10 tenths. Can you use 100 hundredths? Yes, but then you would have 574 divided by 70, and you don't really want that. It's okay if you have a decimal in your dividend up here. So with the one shift on the top, you'll get 57.4, and a single shift on the bottom, you get 7. Now when you set that up, 57.4, when the decimal's in, decimal up. Okay, so you want to set it up and show that you're ready to go. We have already eliminated the decimal in your divisor, so we're done with that. Our estimated answer, I want to have something that is going to be a close multiple of 7. 7 is my nice rounded number. If you know your facts, then you would change the first 2 digits to something that is really close. Now, I just happened to remember that 7 times 8 is 56. That's really close to this one. So you could change it to 560 or 56.0, but you don't need that. So 56 is close to 57. Divide that and you should get about 8. Okay, so let's see where we get our actual answer to be in if it's close to 8. So with our 57 divided by 7, we know that 8 will be 56. And that gives us 1 left over. But we still have to divide here. You're not done. You have to have 14/10 divided by 7, which is 2, because 2 times 7 is 14. So it's 0/10 left over. And is our estimate close to our actual? Yes, it is. 8 is close to 8.2, so we're good and we move on. 8.2, actual answer. There it is. Okay, I'll fold this back, squish it down so we can see. All right, so same instructions, really. It is the exact same, but they're saying, hey, warning, something is going to change here. So 7, this whole thing is done here. That's one problem. So 7 32/100 divided by 6/100. Notice your scale factor. Here we had 10. Here we have 100. So that's the only thing you should really note. Same procedure. Divided by 0.06. And remember that we are using the denominator or the bottom number to be in charge and figure out what is the scale factor. Whatever this one needs, that's what it's going to be. 2 digits makes 100. Okay, and that will move both decimals 2 places so that you end up with 474 divided by 6. Here's your standard algorithm all set up. Now, what are we approximately supposed to be close to? Something that is close to a multiple of 6. That's really close to 47. Can you think of anything? Yeah, use 48 or 480 because, watch out, I do have the ones place here. And so 6 times 8 is 48, but don't forget about the ones place here. So my final answer should be close to 80. Now, proceed. So 47 is not 48, so unfortunately I can't use the 8, but I can use the 7. 42. I don't know if you guys can hear the wind howling and yanking on my door, but it's really whipping today. 7 minus 2 is 5, and then that's less than 6, so bring down the 4. Don't forget the compare step. A lot of students are forgetting that, and then when they bring down, they're like, I have 150. How can I divide into 6 if I have 150? And I'm like, no, you can't. Go back and fix it. So anyway, 6 goes into 54. How many times? It's almost 60. 6 times 10 is 60, so 6 times 9 is 54. And we get our Bob. Hello, Bob. We gave him a name. And our actual answer, 79. Is it close to 80? Yes, it is. So we did well. Next one, 19.44 over 0.54. 2 places. The driver says 2 places. 100 100ths is what you need. That changes this to 1944 over 54. And to make things easy here, I would probably just round to 50 and then go up to 2,000. I know it's not incredibly close, but again, I just want it to be easy. I want this and this to help me get somewhere in the neighborhood. It doesn't even matter that it's off on both of them. You just want it to be somewhere easy. So 200 divided by 5, because these zeros would offset. You can divide both sides by 10 to simplify. And then 20 divided by 5 is 4, and that will get us somewhere near 40. So approximately 40. Use your standard algorithm with 54. And I say 1944, but that's probably not accurate. Okay, so remember when you have two-digit divisors and you're not quite sure what to put and where to put it, you're going to approach it the same way if you had a single. Does this whole thing fit into 1? Nope. Does it fit into 19? Nope. How about 194? Yes, I'm finally big enough. This is where I'll put my digit in the quotient. Now, when you skip count because you're not quite sure what to do, use a rounded number close to this. Use 50. Use that 50, but only to skip count in your head. So if I was going to skip count by 50 and I said 50, 100, 150, 200, I'd be somewhere around 4. But I have actually more than 50. So if I put 4 times 50, I'd get 200, which is already more than I have. So I'm going to back off there and I'm going to put a 3. 3 times 4 is 12. And then I have 3 times 5 is 15 plus 1 is 16. So that way I get less than what I have in my dividend here. Do your subtraction, subtract, compare, make sure you have less than your divisor, which you do. You only want to have a few little remnants left over. When you have less, then you can bring down. Now you've got 324 and you're going to divide again by approximately 50. We'll get to the actual 54. But if I need more than 3 because 3 times 54 is 162, I could even double that because 6 times 50 would be about 300. So if I try that 6 there, 6 times 4 is 24. And look, I carry the 2. 6 times 5 is 30 plus 2 is 32. And hello, Bob, you're back. All right, so our actual answer is 36. And is it close to 40? Yes, that's what that estimation step is for. It's to help you see if you got close to the right answer. Okay, page 2. Solve using the standard algorithm. Use the thought bubble. Oh, we love thought bubbles. Just kidding, LOL. To show your thinking as you rename the divisor as a whole number. It's really actually very easy, so don't panic. So if you have your 38.4, instead of actually showing the times 10, you're not going to show it anymore. You're just going to do it, okay? Just write out the fraction. Don't do the tens. Write out your whole number, then divide. So we're actually doing less, and it's very, very easy. Do the standard algorithm here. 38 divided by 6 should be 6 because that's 36. Subtract and get 2. Bring down your 4. Multiply. Subtract. Hello, Bob. 64 is your answer. There's no estimating step here, so you can write it in there if you want or circle your quotient up there. Just make sure you're showing your final answer. So copy the process here. 7.52, 0.08. Now look at it. What are you going to multiply by in order to shift out the decimal from the divisor? This one is the important one. 2 places means by 100. So it's going to be 2 here and 2 here. That leaves you with 752 divided by 8. Set up the standard algorithm if you didn't already. Hopefully you did that. Okay, and then know your facts. Knowing your facts is going to really help you a lot. Bring down after you've done your subtraction and your comparison, and 32 divided by 8 is 4, and that's an exact answer. And we have 94. Next one. 12.45. This is just to get a look at it. Now watch out. You've got 2 places here and 1 here. Who's in charge anyway? The bottom number's in charge. It's going to be a single shift, so times 10 tenths in your head, times 10 tenths. So after I do my shifting with my 1 place, it's going to be 124.5 over 5. And this is okay. Don't panic. 124.5. You can have a decimal in your top number. You can have the decimal in your dividend. No problem there. So now do your division. 12 is divisible by 5 2 times. We get 10. There's 2 left over. That's less, so bring down. Divide 24 by 5. That's 4 times. 4 times 5 is 20. Subtract and get 4, which is also less than 5. Bring down your 5 tenths. Know where you are. We're in the tenths place. 45 divided by 5 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45 tenths. And hello, Bob. And we're done. So 24 and 9 tenths is your final answer there. Last one in the boxes. 5 and 6 tenths on top. 16 hundredths on the bottom. This is a smaller number because we're in the hundredths place and that has 5 ones. This is equal to what? Now again, just like this one where we have 2 on top and 1 on the bottom, I have different placement here. I have 1 on the top and 2 on the bottom. So who's in charge anyway? The bottom number. The bottom number says multiply by 100 hundredths, which means a double shift on the top to give you 560 and a double shift on the bottom to give you 16. Hopefully you did that right. 560 on the inside. Now here, typically nobody knows their 16s, so I usually say count by 15s. And at the end of 5th grade, you should be able to count a few 15s because 2 15s are 30, and 3 15s are 45, and 4 15s are 60, so you kind of can count by 30. So it's like every 2 15s you get 30, and then 60, and so on. So anyway, if I've got my 56 divided by 16, I could get pretty close with a guess of 3. Okay, if it was 15, 30, 45, but the extra would take us up too high. So that's where I got my 3. 3 times 6, 18. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have a number that's less than 56, but still a good amount to subtract. What's the difference between 48 and 56? It's 8. If you need to do the standard algorithm and borrow and subtract, you can do that. I just am counting the difference in my head. 8 is less than 16, and then bring down your 0. 80 divided by 16, again, using 15 roughly, I would be pretty close, but I'm going to try a 5. 5 times 6 is 30, and there I can see right there, 5 plus 3 is 8. And that gives me no leftover. Hello, Bob. And our final answer is 35. And that brings us to our word problems for today. Lucia is making a 21 6/10 centimeter beaded string to hang in the window. She decides to put a green bead every 4/10 centimeters out of this total and a purple bead every 6/10 centimeters. How many green beads and how many purple beads will she need? Green, purple. We've got 2 different colors with 2 different distances in between, but I have the same string. So this won't change. This is the whole string. Remember the word whole and where that goes in your division? So for green, we're going to use our 21 6/10, and we're going to divide it by every 4/10. And purple, still the same whole, but a different divisor. So if you set those up, that's awesome. In fact, if you didn't do it yet and we just set that up together, why don't you pause and go do the work, see if you can figure it out on your own. They're both very similar and not too hard. Really try it. Stretch your brain. So this is going to look like this one. And if we're using this strategy from up above, then I don't need to put times 10 tenths to know that 216 divided by 4 is where I'm going. Excuse me, too many allergies. 21 divided by 4 is 5, because 5 times 4 is 20 with 1 left over. Bring down your 6 and you have 16 divided by 4 for an easy 4. Knowing those facts sure helps. Hello, Bob. So 54 what? This is green beads. That's why labeling really helps with the G and the P. And then our 21.6 over 0.6. This one is the driver. This says times 10 tenths. Works out fine here. So we get 216 divided by 6. And for this one, we can only fit 3 6s. With 3 left over, bring down your 6, multiply if you know your facts. Sure is helpful. Hello, Bob. 36 purple beads. And there you go. So that is number 4. Oh yeah, don't forget, click subscribe and come back again. I want to help you with your math. Last one. A group of 14 friends collects 7/10 pound of blueberries. Ooh, they collected all that. And decides to make blueberry muffins. They put 5/100 pound of berries in each muffin. How many muffins can they make if they use all the blueberries they collected? So this number is not relevant. I hope you picked up on that. You're not using the 14 friends. A lot of problems, they'll do that, and they'll just say, here, let's put in an extra number instead of writing it out. Or just saying a bunch, because it's not relevant. What is relevant and important is how many pounds of blueberries they collected and how many pounds of berries in each muffin. So the total that we're dividing, we're not just separating the friends, we're not dividing the friends. We're separating this 7/10 pound of blueberries and we're dividing it by the 5/100 pound in each one. Okay? And so the question, when it's pounds divided by pounds, we're going to get our answer of how many muffins can they make. So if this is how we set it up, that is going to look like this when we have fraction form. Now, who's the driver? The bottom number. So what's your scale factor? It's going to be 100 hundredths. Now with the 100 hundredths, this will shift and become 5. But this will shift over not once but twice to become 70. So your actual division is going to look like this. Hopefully you did that part right. Okay? And here is where you get to finish strong, do your division with your standard algorithm. 7 divided by 5 is 1. Multiply, subtract, compare, bring down. Divide, multiply, subtract. Hello, Bob. Nothing left but a happy guy with 0, and that means 14 muffins. Hooray, delicious. Makes me want to go home and bake. All right, well, I hope this was helpful, and you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.